Hello ANC, welcome back guys. Today we are starting a new story, Once a Hero, Always a Hero, written by Evan_FTW. Please support author and link is in the description. So let's begin. A hero like no other. The Knights of Japan are quite easily the most terrifying part of it, the horrors that creep across it, the desperate villains that want the smell of on their hands, to go around terrorizing, to feel free in this world dictated by rules as they roam around wanting to do whatever the hell they want. But these horrors are stopped, not by heroes who only stay back waiting for the fame to be given to them, but there is one group of people different. Their entire goal is to collapse this world and bring anarchy where they can all live, but these people don't want it, they fear it will happen at all. It was that until his light shined, one of the purest and powerful lights ever, one to look up and know he will come to your aid. The light slowly engulfed all countries as they could all see one thing. A hero that fought for everyone no matter who they were. Today it was as much of a normal day as they come, up to the point it no longer is. Muscular had escaped his newest prison due to Tartarus having a breakout some time ago, thing that was mostly stopped by the illegal trio and the world's strongest human, but some villains escaped them, one of them, Muscular. Izuku, another day dealing with this. Koichi, it took us longer than I thought, but we got him in sight. Oguro, most of the place has already been evacuated, meaning we have clear path to fight. Kazuho, this is gonna be something else, but let's get ready. Izuku, I'll deal with him. The three turned to him, not really surprised by confused to the why. Izuku, he wants me and I will give him what he wants because it's about time I rain hell on him. Koichi, you're not killing him, are you? Izuku, no, just putting some fear deep into his soul. He suddenly vanishes from their sight. Kazuho, I forget how dark he gets when it comes to facing villains like him or someone related to his past. Koichi is sad in all honesty. He's such a free soul and person, but the world goes against him that much that he rejects any sign of freedom in his life, treating himself like an actual puppet in the show. We see Izuku arriving to the street where Muscular making the villain turn around to face him. Izuku, I recommend you to stop now. Muscular, he hears his voice and turns around. Oh ho ho, would you look at that, Midoriya has come to me. Izuku, I'm warning you again. Muscular, you only get one chance to stop before I start to rain hell upon you. Muscular, don't think that will be enough to make me run away. It won't be. It will never be. I want another fight against you, and this time it won't end until I feel like it. Izuku, fine then, if that is the case then so be it. He closes his eyes. In the blink of an eye, Muscular was already on top of Midoriya, coming in with a punch as the whole world seemed to slow down to this incoming punch from the villain aimed towards Izuku's head. But to his surprise, Izuku didn't need to even look at him to know where the punch was coming, as he moves his whole body aside from it, taking off his hood and revealing a look of a human done with all. He opens his eyes just to reveal that they are both distorting due to his energy output of 54%. Izuku, just don't expect mercy coming from me. Izuku closes his fist tightly as he sends his maximum percentage he can handle of 71% to it before quickly changing the position of his arm multiple times, like revving an engine, causing a rotation to start to build up in his arm, basically making a tornado cover it. Izuku will be part of a test of sorts that he and Nizu come up with. The main idea is how well can a non-quirked individual do in a hero work environment. The secondary, land ripple style, Yorktown smash. His fist quickly impacts onto Muscular muscle fibers, letting out all rotational energy built to be freed onto them, running them out of balance and collapsing a huge part of the fibers as the tornado basically encases Muscular's body and slowly damages him beyond belief. This punch sends Muscular flying onto the sky, place where Izuku has a greater advantage, even more since the moment he woke up float and started to learn how to fly using it. Muscular only looks towards Izuku, who combines both land ripple style and shoot style to strike onto him. Oguro, the world needs him more than never before. His ways of being in justice, but not in the state he is at, and unless we don't find someone who can help us with him, who knows what this kid may end up doing. Koichi, a mistake of sorts, of course I trust him enough to do different and protect everyone, but I can't help but be worried of his actions. Kazuho, at least he knows how to not destroy half of a city like certain someone. Koichi, look, don't compare my fight against number 6 with his. Kazuho, yeah, you basically destroyed half of the city alone fighting him and almost died. Koichi, And he hasn't. Kazuho, don't Aguro, you sound more like a married couple than me and my wife, shut up. The two of them only turn to Knuckleduster, who just snickers to himself while smoking a cigarette he got from God knows where, but he did. This only made both of them blush, as they didn't have much time since both started dating after knowing each other for about a decade and keeping their feelings to themselves for so long. But the previously mentioned number 6 had a huge pay on it, and let's continue before I end up spoiling Vigilantes to all of you, but it meant a lot to both of them to finally be together after so long. During the combat, Izuku was only playing around with Muscular, barely even trying, before he knew that if he wanted Muscular done for, combining all 17 of his combat styles would have given him the win already. We'll talk of these styles in a separate part. Done with dealing with Muscular's constant screaming, Izuku decided to make a simple quirk combination of Fajin and his strength enhancement to do a pseudo 100% with ease. Muscular sad face, I can feel a different level of power on that punch. Is even stronger than when we fought last time. Izuku, I have no much to say to you Muscular, but let this fight be a lesson to never fight me again. Detroit Smosh. Izuku's punch nails right onto Muscular's waist, causing a huge gust of wind to be freed there and breaking apart all muscle fibers present on his body. Knowing that crashing Muscular onto the ground would most likely kill him, Izuku's arm he used to punch Muscular in cases said villain on black WHP and slamming Muscular onto the floor, still breaking it and causing a shockwave that shook all nearby windows and almost broke them into pieces. Black WHP lets go of Muscular to reveal he was indeed unconscious and not capable of moving at all, making Izuku keep an eye on the villain for a whole second before snapping out of it. He felt empty at the moment and really didn't feel like moving at all. He couldn't get much from fighting, in all honesty. This is no hobby, but it is his one job, and it was getting more and more tiring. Most of the reason being him dragging his worst of emotions at the moment, the feeling of that betrayal at the hands of anyone he called friends. The faces of horror he planted on them the moment he fought them on that training, revealing to be more merciless than anyone else and to even show to not have a single fear of Nizu, to the point he even named all process of mutation he was forced to go through in that lab, only terrifying Nizu, who didn't want to let Izuku leave UA while everyone else agreed that if he wanted, he could do so. Izuku suddenly took off, far from his teammates who just saw him fly away a bit worried, but knowing he needed some time of his own. After all, last time even sat down on his own and enjoyed a silent moment with himself was already 3 months ago, after scaring Nizu and pretty much proving to be either smarter than him or just such an amazing strategist he could counter anyone he felt like it. Koichi, he will be okay before you ask. Pop, Kazuho, I know, but still we're his teammates and he's our teammate, we have to help him when we can, right? Aguro, yes, but for this moment is better if we let him be this time. Just leave him a voice message telling him we're gonna be waiting for him at your penthouse. Koichi, sure, I don't mind, just drop into my house yet again and maybe even break in for the 7th time. He says as he takes out his phone and starts to look for Izuku's contact. Kazuho sighs just looking at Koichi and his clear annoyance. Kazuho, do you think he's going to another case? Aguro, most likely. You know how much he loves to solve those kind of cases, who knows, maybe he solves more than one in the time being. About 2 months ago. We find ourselves on an interesting situation as both Izuku and Koichi find themselves cutting some vegetables and some other stuff, all in a calm sense as Kazuho checks some of her more recent sales of her music, and Aguro simply stays there relaxed as he checks on his phone, seeing a picture sent by his daughter that was hanging out with some friends enjoying her time. Koichi, I know I can't really be one to ask this kind of stuff Izuku, but did you ever thought of another career apart from becoming a hero? He asks as he pours some of the vegetables into the pan. Izuku, huh? Where is this coming from? He asks, still cutting some of the stuff. Koichi, well, I just want to know, I grew curious a while ago, thinking if the world's strongest human ever had another plans on mind apart from becoming a hero. Izuku stops as he thinks of it for a second. What else did he ever wanted to become? Koichi, Izuku. Izuku snaps out of it as he continues cutting some stuff. Izuku, yeah, I'm sorry, I was just a bit lost at the moment. Koichi, did I say something wrong? Izuku, no, is just I didn't really think of that back that even when quirkless I always wanted to become a hero. I really should have think of it more, but, Koichi, you were so fixated on becoming a hero you never thought of something different, weren't you? Izuku only stays silent as he continues cutting his stuff calmly and silently, and it kinda made Koichi feel awkward and even made the others look at this a bit confused. Izuku, I never really thought of it. I remembered thinking about detective stuff though, investigations, criminology, stuff like that. It was interesting to me but it never went too far for me. Koichi, if you could take another career now, would you take any of that? Izuku, in all honesty, in the present time, we can see Izuku walking down a hallway towards a building surrounded by police officers, civilians and even news reporters that had entered the area, but everyone had turned towards the noise where all steps were coming from, just to be met by the sighting of the one person of emerald pale eyes, so many fear yet so many respect. I'm willing to give it a shot even now. Izuku walks towards the police officers who look towards him, surprised to see him yet not shocked, as by this point they are used to meet him. Tsukachi, Deku. Izuku, Detective Tsukachi. What is it this time? Tsukachi, we have some fear it may be a second coming of Stain. He gives him a folder with some information. Izuku, he grabs it as he starts to read through it, seeing who is the one who died. A hero that committed vehicular manslaughter, protecting some people yet costed others even some drunk issues before becoming a hero. Tsukachi, this is just one part of the problem and we don't have many clues, but the possibility he's another hero killer. He says as he starts to walk inside. Izuku starts to follow behind, reading the document before closing it, and continue walking towards the room where the crime scene happened, as many of the police officers inside only looked at them, quite surprised to see Deku once again. Izuku enters the room with Tsukachi as they look into the crime scene, not really surprised about its brutality, but you couldn't say it wasn't something that disgusted his sighting. To keep it short and to not have me write proper gore for today, the corpse had all bones in its right arm ripped apart, separating it into 64 different bones, and I was used to choke the victim, leg perfectly split in half, and its chest had cuts that wrote, some of this world. Izuku, whoever this killer is, hates heroes in general and has no exceptions compared to Stain. Tsukachi, so is just a serial killer. Izuku, and one that wants to make a big name of his own. The way he killed this person was just a method of torture and simply a way to enjoy himself, and mark this as his messed up art. Tsukachi, but aim for a hero. Why put so much on your head this quick onto your beginning? Izuku, maybe is not, maybe he's been around for a while. Tsukachi, what tells you that? Izuku, there is no way one could be so good separating a human arm onto its 64 bones without experience. Maybe he worked at a morgue, or he has been doing this murders on the shadows. Tsukachi, maybe like a butcher. He says, looking at this as he nears it a bit to see how fresh the injuries are, seeming to be not even past a day. Is more recent than we thought, but why did they only call us now? Izuku, this next comment will be a little messed up, but have you ever heard of Sweeney Todd? Tsukachi, huh? Izuku, an old barber from the 1800s that was to kill his victims for his wife to then make meat cakes out of the bodies. Tsukachi, are you implying Izuku, yes, if not we're talking of a cannibal or maybe someone who worked on a morgue like previously stated. Tsukachi, anything goes in this. In all honesty, I don't know exactly what could be done about this, but we will have to start doing researches in the area as deeply as possible and carefully. Deku, I need you to inform your partners to help out with this business and for anything to be reported to me directly. Izuku, understood. Tsukachi, you are free to go now. And All Might says, hi. Izuku, hi. He turns around as he starts to leave the place silently. Tsukachi, sad face, you are way more than we could think. Midoriya, you know exactly what you are doing and hope to be right, but you don't know how right you will be about this scenario. But I trust you, Midoriya. I trust that you are not willing to risk innocent lives and that you will succeed on this case more than anyone else. Izuku now found himself walking towards anywhere just to pass time at the moment while thinking of this case at hand. He was not really thinking much of his surroundings, as many people looked at him in shock and were all just gossiping about him, most of it being good things but others just saying bad stuff they've heard from him. Izuku just looked around as he was just being himself and living his simple life and enjoying it in all fairness, the silence he was at and only being able to hear people talking at his surroundings while cars passed by and TV screens only showed commercials or news. His eyes suddenly see a nearby sign which got his attention, which was a Korean barbecue restaurant. he had been told amazing things about Korean barbecue and how some soju makes it even better. His mind only started to think about him enjoying recently cooked meat while drinking some cold and tasty soju he has tasted, and Koichi is to blame for making him like it. With no more in mind, he decided to make his way towards the place with high interest and decided to eat some of it. Izuku arrives to the restaurant afternoon. Waitress, afternoon she recognizes Izuku in a single second oh my god. Ah. Hello Deku is almost sorry, Izuku, hey miss, calm down it's okay, no need to be too formal about it. He says smiling calmly. Waitress, she suddenly feels his smile calming her down why Isuri sir, Izuku, no need to call me sir or Deku, just Midoriya please. Waitress, sure. Will it be just you sir? Sorry. Just that I'm used, Izuku, no I understand, work etiquette one has to follow. Waitress, yeah thanks for understanding, I'll go check to see what tables are free or if there is any freed, be back in a bit. Izuku, okay. The waitress quickly starts walking to look for any freed tables at the moment while Izuku just looked around the place seeing its design and how comfortable it appears to be on his eyes. That's when he suddenly hears a noise behind him making him turn around to spot someone just coming to the restaurant and wondering about it. Is this the waiting line? Izuku, yes miss. Looks at Izuku deeply, who was still wearing his classic calming yet charming smile, slowly making recognize him. It makes her snap out of her thoughts as she realizes who is the person in front of her and how he seems so calm that she almost didn't realize about his hero costume and all that business he has on him. Sad face, how did I not realize the person in front of me is a hero? Nonetheless Deku. She just keeps looking at him in shock. Izuku notices her stare and decides to ask her. Izuku, is something wrong miss? Ha. No is just. I just recognized you. I almost didn't because of how distracted I was right now. She says a bit panicked. Izuku, he, it happened so no need to worry okay. I mean, there was one time I was just sitting in Shibuya for an hour straight and no one recognized me until a friend of mine screamed out for me. And that's the day me and Koichi were chased by a Nomu for almost 4 hours straight. What a day that was. I see I should introduce myself though. My name is, yes this part is ending here because I want you to vote here for who will be this girl, aka the first part of this relationship. Go on and vote by putting yes on the comments of the name. Gorgura Mori Calliope Rukia Kuchiki Shinobu Kocho Tokusaki Kurumi Series Fauna Shirogane Noel F. Robin, Fire Emblem, Makuro Ikusaba and now CYA all. Now see ya all. The day he met his Reaper, we find ourselves back at Koichi's penthouse as he simply looks at some stuff while putting it on his whiteboard. He looks back at it as he continues looking around, finding it more intriguing than ever before, all of the connections there are between Izuku's quirk and All for One, and how it all seems to come full circle back to number 6 and his first 3 years as a vigilante when he wasn't as strong as he is at the moment. Koichi, is amazing how without knowing I ended up trapped on an issue bigger than anything else in life. Kazuho, yeah, she looks at the whiteboard to think it all started as just learning where was this enhancing drag coming from to some of the most chaotic battles freed in Japan. Koichi, I still think that if I hadn't taken it to the air, many people would have died and much more damage caused, but in the end we ended up saving almost everyone that day. Kazuho, Koichi, is something wrong? Koichi, I feel like we're gonna be trapped on a bigger menace soon. Something big is coming and it will all trail back to our origin. He only keeps his eyes in the whiteboard but this time I know we can fight it, because we are all here to face it. Koichi's knuckles suddenly let out 4 blue stars with a ring behind them showing he's ready for anything to come. With Izuku, I'm Mori Calliope. Sorry for not introducing myself before Deku, sir. Sorry for not introducing myself before Deku, sir. Izuku, hey no need to be so cordial, Miss Mori. He says, still smiling a bit nervously, Mori, no need to call me miss either. But if that is it, what do I call you? Deku, sir. Izuku, Midoriya is okay. Mori, yam big fan. I really didn't expect to come across you at this of all places. Izuku, well, a man has a life and one he wants to enjoy. Especially when you just came out of a crime scene. Actually, I would like to not eat meat, but who cares? Come here often. Mori, trying to make a move. Izuku suddenly remembers how any cheesy movie romance flick has that exact line. Izuku's sad face. Fu Hollywood. No, just wondering, this place is kinda hard to see, so I'm just wondering. Mori, well, not really, just saw the sign outside and decided to come in and take a bite. Korean barbecue never fails. NGL, especially with soju. Says Izuku, still wearing his calm smile while looking at her without realizing doing some eyebrow weird movement that accidentally make him look more flirty. Hey, you know how good that is. Nothing is better than some soju after a long day of non-stop hero work, in all honesty. You really know this kind of stuff. What can I say, I love myself some good old alcohol once in a while. The waitress finally arrives back, calmly seeing Izuku and Mori discuss. Waitress, you two together. Mori, huh? Izuku, yeah, we are. He said as he used one of his styles to see inside of the place. Thanks to this quick use of thermic trace style, he noticed one thing in particular: the place was almost full and there was only one table empty. This meant she would have to wait until one table was empty, and Izuku could not really help himself that much to just leave this person he was so calmly talking to out here that he felt it as the right thing to let her join him. Plus they may as well continue their talk they were having. Waitress, okay then, follow me both. She says as she starts walking towards the table. Izuku, he turns back to Mori still smiling. Well, what are we waiting? Let's go take a drink and eat some barbecue. Mori was surprised by this sudden answer from Izuku and only kept an eye on him. For all she knows, he is one to trust due to his heroic deeds, but it still didn't take away the shock that the officially called world's strongest human basically is inviting her to eat with him. She didn't want it to sound aggressive on any way or even offend him, so she decided to accept with no issue and go in with him. If anything, it sounded kinda cool. It could also be a good topic for one of her streams revolving about hero ranting she likes to do once in a while when either drunk or just wanting to do so, because in all honesty, it's fun for everyone to do this kind of rant once in a while. The two finally arrived at their table and sat down facing each other silently. Mori didn't find Izuku's constant calm smile creepy. If anything, it was catching her attention to the fullest to see such a peaceful smile on the face of the man that completely decimated the so highly regarded Class 1A in almost one punch, if it wasn't for him wanting to have fun and make them feel the agony he felt across a whole year. That was also shocking to her. He still wants to be a hero even though he knows the darkest of sides of the hero society more than anyone else, and yet he was willing to still be a hero that protects everyone equally without hesitation, and she respected it a lot. She really couldn't formulate it at all how much he respects this of Izuku. Izuku, you really are a fan of mine, aren't you? Mori, eh. Izuku, he points at her eyes. They are sparkly and lively. I see those eyes in the mirror whenever I myself start fanboying. Mori didn't know what to say, but she did knew one thing: this comment embarrassed her. Mori, are really now? Izuku, yeah, NGL, I still don't know how it happened, so let's just put it down as magic. Mori, yeah. Izuku, so what do you work at? From first looks I can say is something music related. Mori, well, you nailed it. Is not fully that, but I do make music. Rapping is my specialty, but I'm in for trying any other style. Izuku, so what exactly do you work at? Mori, well, I can't really say, as part of my work rules, is mostly employee safety, especially out in the public. Izuku, I understand. Only reason I myself say my name to anyone is because I don't feel comfortable with people calling me by my hero name when I'm trying to not focus on that business at the moment. Mori, I see, guess it makes a lot of sense. Izuku, yeah, but what would the name you go under is? Mori, I just realized all of us Hololive girl trap ourselves in this CYCL. Izuku just stays there waiting for an answer as he pulls out his phone and starts to do something in the meantime. Mori, I really don't know how to tell you without giving out much information. Is kinda hard, you know. I realized a loophole in the contract which I think I have to talk with my workers about. Is kind of problematic the more I think of it. She suddenly hears a tapping noise in front of her. Mori looks in front of her to be met with Izuku's phone pointed towards her as she sees he wrote something down. She reads it, shocking her and almost making her panic before looking up to Izuku. You work at Hololive, right? You work at Hololive, right? Izuku, must be a hard work. Reminds me of a friend of mine actually. Mori only looked at him, his smirk showed that of domination and power, like that of a king who stopped a usurping attempt with his own hands after playing around with his opponent. Fitting for a man of such talents like Izuku, who kept a calm look on Mori that by this point didn't know how to react to Izuku's way and how quick he was. Mori only nods to him, who quickly turns the phone around and starts reading something else. Mori, is quite interesting that the contract is exactly that, there is more to it and we fully understand it. Izuku, it happens, not all contracts get to be the way they all want them to be, but at the end it's for safety, right? I understand it a lot when a company does something like that, but it can become a bit worrying to some point. Mori, yeah, she sees Izuku turn the phone to her. Pop Step wanted to join Hololive some time ago. She missed her conference due to the Tartarus breakout and she will try and give it a second shot next year once things are a bit more tamed down. The thing is that all four of us read the contract and I know that Hololive is one of the only companies who does so, only other I know is V-Shoujo. At this point she didn't know what to think. It seems like Izuku is everywhere and knows everything. It doesn't really surprise her or creeps her out because as a hero you need to know a lot of stuff to do your job with simple ease and proper care. Izuku turns off his phone before saving it in his pocket and looking at Mori still having his king-like smirk, which kind of hypnotized her by this point. Her guess is that is the elegant touch of it. Izuku, well, let's not talk about that and just enjoy our meal and drinks now, shall we? Mori, sure. Yeah, if you are okay with it. Izuku, well, I would be with all honor, so let's just do it, okay? Their hours started to fly by quite quickly for them. They enjoyed their food as both of them talked with one another about life and how things have been recently. It was comfortable as both enjoyed every single bite of their food and every single drink they took. Their ambience was such comfortable people were looking at them a bit surprised due to how their aura was. It made others enjoy it and they didn't mind it at all. By the end of all this, both were more than satisfied at the moment and enjoyed it way more than they ever expected, and they got a little bit too ham in alcohol. Izuku and Mori weren't really on the best of conditions due to the alcohol of the soju, but it didn't really stop them at all. Izuku, Mori, you okay? Mori, YA's just hitting me hard at the moment. Izuku, I guess it happens once in a while. EY. Mori, you still good? Izuku, actually no, the world is all blurry for me and my brain is screaming at me to not do anything stupid, which I will most likely do without realizing, but who doesn't when they are drunk? Mori, I mean, I bought like 7 kazoos one time when I blacked out. It was hilarious by the end. NGL. Izuku only laughs a bit as he takes out the money to pay up the food as Mori also starts doing the same. Izuku, hey, no need, I pay up for it. Mori, oh come on Midoriya, let me do it please. She says as she continues looking for the money on her wallet. Izuku suddenly grabs her hand calmly and looks at her, only making Mori look back at him. Izuku, I insist Mori, I pay for both. Her eyes only focus on his and how they were like emeralds. For some reason once again she was lost on them, but even more than before as she felt like they wanted to tell her a story, one that at the moment she wouldn't be able to comprehend that much, but she couldn't help but love that emerald glance she was trapped on. That's when she snapped herself out of it before she could start to act creepily or anything. Mori, fine, just because you are insisting this much. Izuku only smiles at her. Izuku, you sure are cute Mori. This makes Mori's ears perk up from the sudden comment as she just stays silent while looking away from him. Izuku and Mori then go up to the cashier to pay and then leave calmly. Izuku, you're going far from here Mori. Mori, and not really, is just like 3 cities from here. How the F did I even get here in the first place? Izuku, is it in Narahata? Mori, not really but a bit near it, is on Baraku. I'm keeping that of having Star Wars planets as city names dash, but why Narahata? Izuku, well I live there myself, I can drop you by if you want, but if not you is okay, I understand completely. Mori, well if you really can then go on, I don't mind. Izuku, okay then, hang in there, it will take not too much but we'll get there quickly. Mori, but hold to dash, she is suddenly picked up by Izuku, who holds her bridal style, surprising her a lot as she looks at Izuku confused. He only smiles yet again as his smiles doesn't stop showing a certain calm that one can rarely see in person. Izuku, hang tight and enjoy the view, Mori. He suddenly takes a jump as he flies past the buildings, easily going over 100 meters in just that one jump, surprising Mori, who only closes her eyes from the unexpected takeoff, but it slowly starts to tame down. She keeps herself wondering what is happening as she starts to open her eyes slowly, just to be met with the insanely appealing sighting of the prefecture of Tokyo showing itself directly to her. Mori, Izuku, like it. He says, looking at Mori just for his eyes to be caught by something unexpected. His eyes only saw the beauty of her pink hair waving slowly around by the air, as her crimson eyes only reflect the beauty deep inside of Japan that so many can't get to see, lost in its beauty and all. Mori could only love the view, as Izuku was easily stunned by looking at her otherworldly beauty he has never seen before in his life, as her gorgeous pink hair hypnotizes him. Mori, Edo, she turns to Izuku to be met with his stunned look. I haven't seen something this appealing in years, Izuku. He changes his look to a smile. That's good to hear. The two were suddenly lost on each other's eyes, just thinking of this moment with so much in mind for some reason, but there was one thing they had fully clear for each other: they loved it. After some time, Izuku and Mori get to Baraku with ease, as Izuku lands just a street away from where she lives at, as Izuku puts her down and relaxes his arms as a way to not overreact about what had happened priorly with him looking at Mori, as she also tries her best to not do something insane about it. Izuku, well, this was quite the day, huh? Mori, have to agree. Both of them suddenly fall in silence, and uncomfortable for worse. This made both of them simply look around, wondering what to do with their lives after such moment they had in the sky with each other. That's when both thought of something that could break the silence. Izuku, Mori, would you give me your contact? Both of them suddenly fall in silence, now looking at each other with blank stares and dumbfounded that both thought of the same thing. Izuku, Mori, sure. The two once again fall in silence as their confusion grows even more. Izuku, Mori, sad face, what kind of script powers are this? Izuku, he starts to scratch his cheek while looking away. I don't mind giving you my contact. I enjoyed a lot today, and if you want to hang out again or just talk or anything, all in for it. Mori, really now? Well, is the same with me. I had a lot of fun and you were just really nice to me. Wouldn't mind getting to know you more, in all honesty. Izuku, I see then. He quickly takes out a paper and writes down his phone number on it and gives it to Mori. Here it is. Mori, thanks. She grabs it and stares at it for a second. Do you have more paper? You know, for me to write down mine for you. Izuku, oh yeah, here. He gives her a piece of paper and a pen. She quickly writes down hers and gives it to Izuku, also returning the pen to him. Mori, well, Thani, guess see you later. Izuku, sure, see you later, Mori. He puts the phone number on his pocket. And careful once you're home. Mori, same. With you. Bye. She starts to walk towards her dorm complex. Izuku just turns around before taking off yet again on way to Narahata, but something didn't stop poking him. For some reason the topic of her and the phone number were hitting him hard, pretty hard for such a first meeting. Mori was no different as she stared at the paper with Izuku's phone number silently and not knowing exactly how to feel about it other than the fact it made her happy she was able to exchange contacts with him of all people. This sure was something else. I love this of making character interactions a lot. I really have to perfect it as much as possible and have been giving it my all for something like this, simple fanfic for people to read and enjoy. Now I don't really have much to say other than I need a new pair of legs after 3 days of walking from my house to my school and vice versa in the middle of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyways, here, tell me who should be the second girl for Izuku in this story. Anyone except MHA girls go. If you agree with someone, comment yes on the comment you agree with, and I'm pretty much Palpatine at this point cause I love democracy. Now see ya. Now see ya. Once a hero, always a hero. The list is long yet short and quite interesting, so on to it now. Shoot style focused on the use of legs. Shoot style uses Izuku's strongest body part to cause even more damage than he normally does. It also saves him from risking his arm and most likely destroying them yet again. Air Force style Izuku uses built-up pressure in his body to free it all in a kick or via flicking his fingers at a high percentage, letting him free a powerful shockwave that can be made more precise thanks to Hatsume's Air Force gauntlets and iron soles. Double style Izuku uses black WHP to basically make two new arms to throw hits on blind spots usually caused by the attempt of blocking punches or any sort of attack. This style works even more if he shows no signs of having black WHP activated. Jet style perfect to fuse with float, Izuku uses black WHP to make springs in the bottom of his feet he can use to boost himself throughout the sky and reach Mach speeds even quicker than he normally can. Not only that, but cutting sharp corners becomes inhumanly easy for him. Tatsumaki style via spinning midair, Izuku starts to build up an insane amount of air pressure using the current of air around him to engulf his entire body on a tornado of sorts that builds up more and more energy like a turbine by the second that is then freed via doing a punch or spear-like kick. Javelin style Izuku uses extreme precision and accuracy to fire out a javelin made out of black WHP or anything that can resemble it to take down a target with an exaggerate precision made insanely effective to take down one villain at the time. Kuroken style by using stored anger deep inside of him that he is able to control, Izuku is able to bend black WHP into a sharp blade construct attached to his arms or even legs that can quite easily cut through concrete and if angry enough, could even cut through titanium like cutting through paper with the sharpest blade of the world. Suedo style by mixing Fajin and his strength enhancement, Izuku is able to up his speed and strength to inhuman levels, reaching a top speed of Mach 20 and letting him have a strength cap of 4 teratons, easily capable of shaking the world and completely destroying all of Japan in one punch, yet he only uses the speed side to bullet across the land with ease. Air raid style by combining anti-material, the second's quirk which causes a vacuum of air and heat that is let out like an explosion. Backdraw causes his palm to be damaged badly and it can cause an implosion that destroys his entire body, and float, the user is able to rain down shots of all sorts from the sky. Heat trace style by making a small vacuum of anti-material combined with danger sense lets him sense people around him, letting him feel the heat of everyone in 1 kilometer. Land ripple style after coming up with Tatsumaki style, Izuku thought to himself about doing something similar to said style, but in this case, the body part he uses to punch someone has a higher percentage than the rest of his body as he quickly revs his arm to build up momentum and more power that is later freed in one punch, but compared to Tatsumaki, he frees it out like a ripple of power that lets out a tornado of sorts that completely ravages his opponents and even messing up their body, but also being able to damage him even more as it can twist his limbs. Izuku still has a chance to make even more styles and fuse his quirks to do more and more with them. He can only become more unstoppable as time goes and way stronger. Also, I did make it an exaggeration in part 1 by saying he has 17 styles. I only have come up with all this combat styles across this last year and 1 month of reading my stories, and I love it a lot. Now I leave you all be and thank you for reading my SHT, which I still don't know why you do. See ya. Back where it started 1-2, it was the next day for Izuku. It was a rather tiring and annoying day for him, but he just wanted to enjoy for once a good rest provided by getting high on alcohol, which he hadn't done in a while. To be honest, last time he drunk some alcohol was when he dropped by to UA to torment Mizu a bit more for his own liking and to share a beer with Aizawa and some of the other teachers while talking for how hero business has been treating him since he left UA, one to blame for all this drinking issue for must be both present Mike and Midnight and maybe, just maybe, an extremely drunk Aizawa who forced a whole bottle down his throat. He started to look around, still lost in time, as he realized he fell asleep with his costume annoying him on the realization he'll have to wash it, but it also made him wonder, what did he put on the washing machine before sleeping then? Izuku quickly stands up and goes to check it as he starts to take off his hero costume and ends up in only boxers. He gets to his washing machine and opens it just to see he put in F-air. He indeed put nothing on it, only making him stare at the washing machine blankly before closing it and walking off to the shower. Some minutes later, Izuku came out of the shower trying to focus his eyes in one spot, but it seemed impossible for him to do. He went to get some clothes on as he put them on and looked in the mirror of his, once again looking at himself and thinking, Izuku, god DMN, why do I look more and more toned by each fight? Isn't training the one that tonifies my body? Or is it because my hero costume was made loose? He says while looking at himself still shocked as his hand goes through his abdomen, or is it because my hero costume was made loose? He says while looking at himself still shocked as his hand goes through his abdomen, I promise, my isn't getting the best out of me right now, I'm clearly not holding back while looking at this picture. Izuku suddenly hears his phone as he fully puts on his shirt and goes for it to see he's being called by Aizawa. This couldn't be good, could it? Izuku, answer, good afternoon sir, this is your IRS agent speaking. Aizawa, IRS agent my butt, shut your trap and let me speak Midoriya. Izuku, geez what a nice first words to hear in the morning. Aizawa, kid Izuku, okay chill. What is it that you want with me? Aizawa, money for a cab and a beer. Izuku, ends call dash, let me get you an Uber straight to goddamn hell. He suddenly hears his phone ring yet again and answer. Aizawa, serious talk now. Izuku, what is it? Aizawa, well Nizu is a prick and decided to get some invitations to a certain company just to get something I still don't know what is it but is something to do with Hololive. Izuku, he looks at the OFA users who only facepalm wondering what is this kid's luck, go on. Aizawa, so we need you to simply take care of them from afar or in person, choice is yours Izuku, did you sleep late again trying to kill everyone in Sapienza in one go? Aizawa, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Izuku, okay, I'll be getting ready, is it okay if I go a bit casual? My hero costume is all dirty and I also was working on a case with Tsukachi so the smell of is kinda on ITM impressed no one realized when I was in public. Aizawa, sure just know the dumbasses are gonna be here. Izuku, well SHT may Oswell take it as a chance to say hi to Shinso. Aizawa, yeah, see you two in a bit. Izuku, too. Aizawa, ends call, Izuku stays confused for a bit before hearing some noises coming from on top of him making him realize exactly what he meant by the two. He rolls his eyes as he puts on his shoes and then starts to make his way up the stairs of the building to reach the rooftop where a quite illegal build is present, this being the penthouse Koichi lives at. He goes up to the door and knocks on it. Izuku, senpai did he already called you? Koichi, yeah. Just getting some clothes on. He says moving around the room quickly, Izuku, did you make something to eat? Koichi, I have some onigiri, want some? Hell yeah. Works for something. Also enjoyed yourself yesterday. Yeah but now I have a lot of work and a new case, this is gonna be wild in all honesty. Your problem not mine. Hate you at times senpai, also aren't you working on knowing who is selling trigger across the globe? I am but there is no success. Koichi finally comes out of the building holding with him two onigiris as he gives one to Izuku and he starts to eat his. Izuku grabs his and takes a bite as his mind thinks about it for a bit. Mori lives near them and she may still be drunk from yesterday and wake up a bit late so he did the optimal idea and call her up as Koichi just looked at him. Izuku, just waiting for her to answer, Koichi, what you doing? Izuku, just seeing if she answer, he Mori. Mori, Midoriya. What's wrong? Izuku, well calling you because I was told something about Hololive going with UA for something today did you knew? Mori, yeah but is in the 20th Izuku, Mori, yeah. Today is January 20th Mori only stood silent as Koichi just looked at Izuku more and more confused by the second. Apparently he was talking to someone connected to Hololive but how did he knew her? Next thing they heard was a strong scream that stunned the living SHT out of Izuku whose eyes only went wide open from it. Can you pick me up and take me with you? Please Midoriya I don't think there's any trains at the moment so please do me this favor, said Callie all panicked as she was trying to get changed as quickly as humanly possible, sure thing, be there in like 5 minutes. Thanks. See you in a bit then, she ends the call, Koichi, so I get going on my own is what I'm getting. Izuku, yup, see ya senpai. Koichi quickly finishes his onigiri before rushing to the border of the building and jumping off the railing as he focused all his power on his legs letting the repulsors on it being powered up to their limit letting him take off like a rocket ship quickly reaching Mach speeds as he makes his ways towards Mustafu, aka Niigata. Izuku quickly put his phone on his pocket as he charged up OFA to a calm percentage as he starts to jump building to building on his way towards Baraku, as many people only saw him making his way towards the previously mentioned city calmly and just making his way there like a normal person. After a bit, Izuku had fully made his way to the city and landed on the street as he started to walk towards Mori's apartment complex, just showing to be in such calm position like usual. There was one thing that Aguro taught him, and is that he should be calmed whenever he needs to be, as it helps him out a lot, especially when it comes to the usage of black WHP, which is emotion-based. It was a silent walk for Izuku as he arrives to outside Mori's apartment complex and waits a bit outside. His mind suddenly is reminded that he is going to UA, and this thought doesn't scare him. If anything, he wants to see Bakugo's face of pure mental derangement he caused him that day. Izuku suddenly fully remembers what happened that day. It was only Bakugo left and he could call it a day and leave, but Bakugo had other plans for him apparently, as he decided to use Shinso and Hatsum, his best friends, as hostages, where if he didn't appear, he was gonna kill them. So when Izuku, at the border of breaking mentally and exhausted, decided to do the most reasonable thing, completely crush Bakugo's pride and quite literally destroy him, and by using a serum he made with Ares horn, which he got permission to do, he could have as much fun with Bakugo as he wanted while his brain and heart weren't severely damaged. To say Izuku loved destroying Bakugo is a shortcoming to the how much he was smiling and laughing from the fun this brought upon him. Ripping Bakugo's arms off him, splitting his body in half, breaking his spine with his own hands, crushing both lungs by stepping through them, rip off his jaw and tongue as he destroyed the entire fake city with the mass of flesh that was Bakugo. As his psychotic laugh echoed on the whole place while rewinding Bakugo's body, Izuku let out so much steam and such a satisfying smile after finally getting revenge on Bakugo. He would have been branded a villain if it wasn't that Izuku could most likely collapse all of the hero society without even the need of a quirk, and the teachers only made a blind eye, not out of fear but out of spite to their students who so much said to be the best, and lost to Izuku going quirkless for most of the war game, and Bakugo lost to his 20%. Snapping out of this thought, Izuku looked around as he says to himself, "Izuku, that sure was a day in my life. Mori, what you thinking of?" Izuku, eek. He jumps up from the scare he got. Mori. Why did you not tell me you were here already? He looks at her and is a bit stunned by her looks. Izuku, eek. He jumps up from the scare he got. Mori. Why did you not tell me you were here already? He looks at her and is a bit stunned by her looks. Mori, I've been tapping you for a while, but it seemed like it wasn't enough to snap you out of it. Izuku, why Isuri, you don't have motion sickness or anything, right? Mori, not really. Why do you ask? Izuku, because of this next move, knowing Crawler he's already there, and I bet Aizawa is now giving me 3 minutes to arrive to Let's. He picks up Kali as he shoots out black WHP, grabbing onto a couple buildings and pulling himself back. You are about to experience the same thing an astronaut being sent to space feels like, so hang tightly. Mori, noticing he wasn't lying, only puts her arms around Izuku's and hangs tightly, making Izuku wince a bit, but it wasn't too problematic. Izuku's eyes suddenly distort from using OFA at 70% as float is turned on and an emerald aura surrounds Izuku's body due to Fajin. Izuku, Suedo 200%. He suddenly feels himself be pulled by black WHP, her eyes suddenly feel the whole world slow down due to the insane speed they obtained. It was almost unexplainable to her how, even though she felt everything go as slow down, cars, people and even her own breath, their speed was such that she was technically going up at 10 km per hour before it all hit her. Thanks to float though, Izuku lost all % of friction that could damage both of them, letting them take off. Izuku ends up flying at Mach 10, shaking the entirety of the prefecture of Tokyo as he crosses from one coast of the country to the other one with ease, creating multiple sonic booms along the way before arriving there in just a couple seconds, making him start to slow down to land at Takoba Beach safely and without causing much damages. If it wasn't enough, Izuku quickly takes the run to UA, making no noise or even making anyone see he's here at the moment, as float stops any possibility of him creating a vacuum of destruction that could delete Mustafa off the map. At UA. Aizawa, I'm gonna start making him put some money on the jar whenever he doesn't get here in time. Koichi, chill eraser, man's got a life. Aizawa, and also a job. Bakugo, of course he's not here, that useless Deku. Aizawa, do you know what both words stand for? Why put them together? Bakugo, tch it doesn't matter, that weak BSTRD is never gonna get here, must be crying thinking of seeing us again. No one in the class agreed with his words. If anything they were terrified for Bakugo because it was a matter of seconds that Izuku appeared and once again traumatized them. And would you look at the time, Izuku, I hear you were talking shtkac. Chan. He says, smiling peacefully while standing on the air, head hanging down and facing Bakugo straight to his eyes. It took only a matter of seconds for Bakugo to jump back, falling back first, scared for his life after being met by Izuku's emerald eyes that symbolized a painful and miserable moment of his life. Izuku suddenly spins himself around as he finally makes contact with the ground and stares at Bakugo closely as he grabs Bakugo's cheeks and starts to move his head around, checking Bakugo out, whose heartbeat was going insane at the moment as he held back the longing to cry for mercy. Izuku, looks like my dog is in perfect condition, wanna go play around? His eyes suddenly turn to Mineta dash, I've been meaning to play fetch with you for a while, Kaken. The saying of that name made Bakugo flinch as he goes to grab his sides. That one nickname is the same nickname Izuku screamed every moment he broke Bakugo both mentally and physically, and it made him suffer to just think of the nickname. It basically became a trigger that completely gets rid of his pride and makes him the crybaby. Izuku suddenly backs out and walks towards Aizawa and Crawler, who were just looking at Mori that was put down next to them as Class 1A kept themselves looking away from Izuku. Just the fact he's here scares them because they know Izuku doesn't need a quirk to defeat every single one of them in one single breath. Aizawa, good to see you again, problem child. Izuku, hey sensei. Aizawa, has it been hard recently? Izuku, new case and no leads, that's how bad it is. Koichi, is she the one you called earlier? He says, pointing at Mori. Izuku, yeah, part of Hololive and met her yesterday. Aizawa, well, it happened, so you all have to try your best. I also heard about the trigger case you opened, Crawler. Koichi, is not easy right now. All we know is that whoever is making it knows how to sell and make the product in insane quantities, maybe enough to affect an entire country. Aizawa, it sure will get interesting from now on, he says, looking around. Mori, I feel like I shouldn't be listening. Izuku, kinda shouldn't, but you are already here, so actually when are the others getting here? Aizawa, they are actually coming up the mountain and should be in the entrance right now, so let's get going there. Also stop scaring them for a minute. Izuku, what, so I just vanish? Aizawa, yeah. Izuku, well okay, ninja vanish. He uses smoke screen, letting it out of his whole body, and the cloud disappears to reveal Izuku completely vanished. I owe you a cookie if you get it. In the entrance of UA, we see Izuku finally appearing there as he looks around, realizing he just came here and didn't even bother to take Mori with him, who is also meant to be waiting here in the entrance with the other Hololive girls. He just stood there silently thinking about life. Izuku, I'm really happy. Ever since I became a vigilante is pretty amazing how much my life has changed across just 4 months, and I love it a lot. Hell, I think it could get better, but who knows what the world has for me in the future. May, Hui. Midori. Izuku turns around and spots his good old pink-haired friend with crazy attitude dragging Shinso as she run towards him, smiling widely. May, sup Midori. She says as she only smiles wider in front of Izuku. Izuku, hey handsome, making Shinso suffer a bit. Shinso, a bit. Do you know how short that is from how much I'm suffering? Izuku, hee. May, did you came across them already? Izuku, I did. What have you done to them, BTW? Shinso, what has she not? He stands up and turns to Izuku dash, first of all, morning. Second of, she has made them test prototypes of their costumes with accidental flaws on them, and Bakugo has basically broken his arms as much as you used to. Izuku, DMN, wish I could see that with my own eyes. May, same. It's been a blast tormenting Bakugo once in a while, kinda like, can't get any ideas. Then scare the dog with fireworks. She says on a pretty commercial ad style dash, I remember saying that out loud. I made people think I actually was talking of scaring an actual dog. No, I have care for lives. Both, you do. In the most sarcastic tone ever, hey is not that bad. She says, still smiling with kind of sad eyes, right? Her smile disappears while looking at both. Izuku is not that bad honestly, but you can get a bit overboard at times. Hey is not that bad. She says with that of a pout of her own. Koichi, IMMA break them ankles. He takes down Izuku by sliding onto his legs. Izuku AAAH. MF took advantage. I was fully focused on this, so much so that danger sense forgot to register his nonchalant attitude as incoming danger. He stops himself from falling completely. Koichi, oh hey there. You two are Hatsum and Shinso, right? Izuku's friends. Shinso, yeah, you must be the crawler then. Koichi, that is me, the one that slides to help anyone in need, the crawler. He says, smiling calmly as he turns to Hatsum, whose eyes are shining seeing his quirk in action. DMN Izuku wasn't lying, she really looks like Kazuho, especially cause of her hair. To those who somehow don't know, Kazuho or Pop Step, however you want to call her, also has pink hair. How does your quirk work? She says as she crouches down to see Koichi's repulsors keeping him suspended off the ground. Izuku, she seems to be enjoying herself already. Shouldn't you be in class, Hatsum? Got permit. She continues looking at the repulsors that Koichi decided to show her better by getting off the ground and having his hand repulsor at a better point of view to her. Shinso, she scared certain rat enough until she got permit is what she means. Izuku, he chuckles. Believable. Mori, just looking at Izuku from afar with Aizawa. He really hates his ex-classmates. Aizawa, hating them is too short, only reason we even have them here still is because he told us to do so. All of them think life is all fun and games, but Midoriya knows better than anyone that it has never been the case. He's been a pretty serious student since he joined UA and I don't mind it, but what I did mind is when people started to look down on him. First Bakugo and then his group of friends, and it slowly spread to the whole class and they thought I never noticed when I always did. I always talked with him about it but told me to not do anything cause he had hope. But when he lost that hope, Aizawa suddenly brings up his killing grin, remembering those 3 days of terror where Izuku deleted any pride of his once classmates and any laughs ever aimed to him. They learned that God is not gonna side with them ever again. Mori, what was that time like? Public mostly knows that Izuku showed no mercy to his classmates after a year of being bullied and brought down by them, but not much more. Aizawa, how could I simplify those 3 days? Imagine your worst nightmare slowly preying upon you, hearing your every breath, step, thought, heartbeat, and whenever you are to hunt for it, it fights back with the most terrifying methods imaginable just for it to show they were nothing but a boring step on his hunt for you and your life. That is the best way I can describe you what the world's strongest human is capable if pushed to this point. Plus I know someone like All For One will be at blame if this ever happens again. I heard he likes to destroy the lives of the top heroes, and with Midoriya being a clear menace, he will dig his own grave. I don't have much to say for this part but wanna ask if you guys are okay with Mei being the other girl. I could add someone else of course, but in the meantime, it can be Mori and Mei, and no, I don't have a thing for pink-haired girls, don't let this deceive you. If you guys want to add one more girl, tell me, I wouldn't mind it being 3 girls and 1 boy, so tell me in this comment. Now see ya. Now see ya. Back where it started, 22 UA High School, said to be the most prestigious school in all of Japan, place where many tried to become heroes at, but also the place of BRTH of the world's strongest human, the place that brings the worst out of him and where he almost proved that the hero society is nothing but a failure he has to destroy and rebuild. Not only that, but its principal Nizu fears Izuku like no one else. After menacing him for wanting to leave UA, Nizu grew a concerning fear for Izuku, who menaced him with the worst of tortures and scenarios while bringing some of his worst memories deep inside of him. Izuku could only stand there while talking to those he has shown to care for in recent years, those he can accept as his friends or people he seems to have a care for, all of them just talking to each other and being quite happy. They all suddenly hear the noises of cars stopping at the front gate of UA, making all of them turn towards it as Mori smiles knowing the people inside of this cars. Izuku sees as from inside the most comically long cars he has ever seen with his own eyes. multiple girls he quickly starts to recognize from that day he went with Kazuho to Hololiv's HQ that were present to do some collab stuff as they all turned to the entrance to not find Nizu but find some people who seemed quite calm and a bit better to deal with than Zayrat. Kiera, oh Callie. How did you get here this quick? Woke up early. Mori, why definitely, I did not get here at Mach speeds thanks to Midoriya. Yagu, good to see you're here though. Mori, Yagu-san. Yagu, hey there, also it seems like we meet again, Deku. Crawler. Koichi, hey there sir. We're sorry she couldn't be there for the interview but that case was kind of hard to deal with. Yagu, no I get it, she knows she can get a second shot at it whenever she can. Koichi, I'll let her know Yagu. Rashaya, what are you talking about sir? Yagu, well some time ago, we were gonna get some new members but the Tartarus breakout happened and we suspended most actions. Between them was that of Pop Step debuting with us. Marine, really? Yagu, yeep, I had seen them too because they are partners of hers. Izuku, so how are you all? Seems like it was a bit of a long trip for everyone. Hololive girls, yeah it wasn't much I've had longer is moving at Mach speed a long trip for you. Izuku, he has so had is it they are here for. Aizawa, he sent me a message about it. Izuku, did he really not bother to come say hi? Hatsum, Midoriya, Shinso, come on man, Aizawa, he must be crying because of your smell. Izuku, I showered in the morning. The three, you know what me mean idiot. Koichi, geez what a life of yours. Izuku, you are one to talk. He says looking at Koichi indifferently anyways what is it? Aizawa, apparently it has to do with them getting to know some heroes, what heroes does Nizu see but okay. Shinso, he's here. He points at Izuku no need to do SHT with the other heroes of class 1A Aizawa, I know but still, is just their job and what they have to do, is good to think I call you two in because if they go overboard I can't think of anyone else to put them on place than you two. Izuku, of course I am, never forget. Hatsum, don't you dare make a reference to the greatest manga and anime ever that is connected to those Izuku and Shinso look at her surprised by her swearing. Mori just looked at this happening still surprised as to the kind and fun person, Izuku actually is such a monster willing to completely destroy his opponents until he feels like it enough, she did expect it but due to her meeting his nicer side first, is kind of hard to just accept it. It still doesn't take away that charisma he sees on him and that charm that got her smiling and enjoying all of yesterday afternoon. Izuku, okay so why exactly are they here for again? Aizawa, I'm gonna read it, the point of this is for Hololive to see what kind of life is given in UA, to be more specific, the life of the future pro-heroes that shall assist in this society in a not-so-far future. He looks at everyone else. Izuku, I have to apologize to you Yagu-san for having to bring all of the girls to this hellhole, he says as he bends down. Aizawa, God damn it Deku, and then they ask me why I don't like having you here. He says trying to not laugh to the constant roasting of class 1, Mori, can you just calm down for a bit? I did see how bitchy they are and all that but I think it would be interesting to see how it goes to have some talks with them. I think is all gonna go to SHT yeah but still, just a shot. Izuku, you sound like the moment someone tries to give a drink to the only sober guy on the group which ends up with you and your gang buying a Lamborghini to then use it to run over some villains. He says looking at Aizawa. Aizawa only looks away while drinking his Capri-Sun as Koichi just laughs a bit remembering that. Hatsum, hey Midoriya wanna a test run against 0-pointers before they leave. Izuku, not a bad idea, while the girls interview them and talk with them I can just mess around for a bit cause I know while I'm like 100 meters from them, none of them will talk of think straight so Aizawa you get them there. Starts walking away thinking of going to lunch rush and get some food. Noelle, are they that scared of him? Mori, you would be amazed how scared they are of him, so don't even bring him up. Some have PTSD that is triggers when someone says his name or they see him. Flare, is that bad? Fauna, I mean I'm not one to but my head in, but after what was revealed of his past and all that and him saying the what may have happened to him across an entire year is depressing to think how hard it was for him to hold back when he got the golden ticket for revenge. Aizawa, Deku is not one to fall to temptations easily. All eyes are suddenly set on Aizawa dash. That time he fell to it because he was morally broken, he didn't feel like living anymore. After beating all of the students, he almost killed himself by piercing his heart with his own hand, but we stopped him. He explained that while his revenge was satisfying, he felt like still hadn't given him enough mercy to live a life after getting what he wanted. Thankfully he wanted to leave UA and work as a vigilante, which on accident led to Koichi meeting me and my teammates. It was for the better because we already had someone that had experienced a depression of this kind, even more because his quirk was stolen from him by you-know-who. Now let's get you all in a good mood and go interview this people, then you all can enjoy a normal life after hearing a Pomeranian scream as loud as a nuclear bomb. Most of Hololive was just taking in all they were hearing at the moment. It was clearly not easy for anyone to deal with all of this they were listening to, but it wasn't hard to believe Izuku Midoriya had a rough past that almost ruined him to many levels, but there was one worry outstanding over the rest. This was none other than Mori's. He may just know him for one day, but it felt pretty worrying to not try and wonder why he always seemed that anguish about his classmates. It was clear to her Izuku had completely demolished them and then left UA to become a hero on his own accord, and that he can be pretty serious when the time needs it to be but can also be joking 24. The worry was big, more than what it should be about someone you met no more than 12 hours ago, but it was the thought of that enchanting charisma and unique beauty of his leaving him that worried her the most. It only left her the thought of talking to him after this is over and maybe just have another nice chat like yesterday's thing she loved to thought about maybe a bit too much. As Hololive talked to Class 1A and realized Izuku really kept himself short with his words of how annoying they could get except for Shinso. Not only were Kaminari and Mineta trying to make moves on them, but Mina and Hagakure wouldn't keep their mouths shut about anything. Ida was being a bit too strict even towards them, and Momo could never shut her mouth about her smartness and always bringing mentions of her humble life. As part of one of the richest families in Japan, let's not even talk of Bakugo, who was getting too annoying for anyone's liking with his bragging and screaming, so much so it made Mori knocked him out in a solid straight punch to the gut. Luckily for him it wasn't Noel or Kanata, cause they would have shattered his spine. Izuku on the other hand, was on the roof of UA listening to music while eating the food he got from Lunch Rush, who was happy on seeing Izuku has been doing okay and made him an insanely good American-style breakfast he was enjoying while listening to some calm and relaxing music. Izuku, so far away, we wait for the day. For the lives all so wasted and gone. We feel the pain of a lifetime lost in 1,000 days. Fraught the fire and flames, we carry on. He takes a bite out of his hotcake as he headbangs. Such a calming and relaxing breakfast, don't you agree, readers? Well, as he enjoyed all this calmly, his mind was thinking on what to go off about the recent case he got himself trapped in. There aren't many clues he can go off, and he has the rule that unless a policeman is with him, he can't interrogate anyone due to his rascally methods. Izuku suddenly remembers what happened last time he interrogated someone, as the picture of himself carrying a car with one black WHP slowly bringing it down the man he was interrogating as said man cried for mercy. By the end of it, Izuku remembers even better what happened. Izuku, don't get in this business again, or I'm coming for your other arm. Criminal, other YAGGH. He screamed as Izuku stepped on his arm and broke it. Izuku, on present time he has a sweat drop dash. Yeah, when I think of it for more than 1 second is pretty justified. NGL, Hatsum, been a bit cruel recently. She says in the door to the rooftop. Izuku turns around to see Hatsum as he pauses the music he's listening to just to turn around and look at her. Hatsum, hey there again. Izuku, hey Hatsum, how you doing? Hatsum, doing good, I just came to check on you. Izuku, how did you knew I was gonna be here? Hatsum, Midoriya, I've known you long enough to know how much you love the rooftop and its view. She goes next to him and sits down to his left. Dash, seeing you've been getting some more friends. EY. Izuku, what can I say? It's been something, but I've only know her for 1 day. Hatsum, yeah, but it seems like she has much attention from you. EY. She says in that of a cocky accent and jealous. Izuku, he notices the jealousness quite easily. Dash, jealous I got another pink-haired girl in my life. Hatsum, maybe. I forget he isn't as dense as when he was studying in UAST. Izuku, it doesn't make you mad, does it? Hatsum, no, of course not. If anything, I'm happy you are able to make sense with others and be friends with them. Izuku, but it does make you jealous. Handsome, why are you so insistent about it? She says looking straight at his eyes, Izuku, just want to know, am I making you jealous? Handsome, pfff like you could. Izuku, but you can get jealous, so what stops you from being jealous right now? Handsome pouts while looking at him. It was a rather cute and unexpected sight for Izuku, and he can't say he doesn't like it. Izuku, so are you. Handsome, no. Izuku, I know you are. Handsome, but I'm not. Izuku, so what if she stole a kiss from me? Handsome. Then nothing. Sounding a bit more jealous than earlier, Izuku, what if it was a one-night stand? He says, doing some crazy eyebrow movement and a stuck grin. Handsome just stares at him silently. Handsome, no way she took your virginity. Izuku, well, there's a magic on drinking a couple bottles with someone you know. He clears his throat, getting ready for what he's about to say next, while Handsome just looks at him. Her breasts were so soft, fondling them was such a feeling I will never forget. Her hair was perfect and appealing to go through while I deepened my kiss. For my first time while drunk, it felt amazing to explore her and enjoy my every second in her face as God. I was in love with those RTC faces of her. Handsome just stares at him as Izuku tries to hold back his longing to laugh. He was looking at Handsome's face that was slowly getting filled of more and more jealousness and anger to hear this, but still smiles while looking at him. I see Midoriya. Yeah. Please be lying. Well, I am not. Handsome stands up and walks away to the stairs. Okay, yeah, no, I'm done with the FIS this all about. And here I thought I had a chance to be the one to take it. I couldn't even take your first kiss when I got the chance. And now she takes your PP for herself. What the F? Handsome. What you F-er? I was kidding, Izuku says, slowly breaking onto laughter. Handsome just stares at him blankly. She was lied to and brought to say all of this because Izuku either wanted to enjoy himself or just to test her. This slowly brings a massive blush to her because in a weird way she ended up confessing to Izuku about how she feels about him. Handsome, she only starts to walk away a bit before she's grabbed by a black WHP by her waist. Izuku pulls her towards him as he slowly calms his laughter and looks at Handsome. So you do feel something for me, EY? I just don't put attention to it, okay? Come on, Handsome, well, I won't force you to just accept it at the moment, but still be more honest. Who in this F realm we live at do you think you are to tell me that after lying to me that you passionately F a rapper and streamer? Good point. Luke, give me some time to get my stuff together. I am gonna respond you another time, just if you do fall for someone else. At least tell me before time. I don't want to get you in trouble more than you already have. I understand. Handsome, who is still grabbed by Izuku's black WHP, pulls herself even closer to him, making him put his arms around her waist as she grabs Izuku's head and pulls him towards her, letting her lips contact with his, surprising Izuku a bit as he just lets it happen, only leaving him the choice of kissing back calmly before stopping himself. But this didn't mean Handsome did, as she stopped kissing him a couple seconds later. Handsome, even if you are to love someone else, I can at least say I am the one who took your first kiss, and I'm quite happy to be able to say that myself. Izuku found himself lost, not because of the kiss but because of her smile he had never appreciated to its fullest, as it hypnotizes him to look at, such bright and warm smile coming from such girl as Handsome, who many would overlook for being an ins. Izuku found himself lost, not because of the kiss but because of her smile he had never appreciated to its fullest, as it hypnotizes him to look at, such bright and warm smile coming from such girl as Handsome, who many would overlook for being an insane inventor aiming for the top. But Izuku's only guess onto why he's some of the only lucky that is able to see this side is because insanity understands insanity, and as both crazy people who dream to rise to the top, is such a thing only he can understand. Minutes later, both of them found themselves making their way towards the fake city where Izuku is meant to show off, cause in all honesty, 0-pointers are the only thing that can genuinely give him trouble, but they may really not be as tough as those in Tartarus he fought in the crossfire, trying to stop as many villains as possible from escaping said prison. But On never knows, the rat that owns the school is smart but is not the best at putting it to use once in a while. Izuku and Handsome arrived at the place calmly and didn't fully know what to say or how to react to this whole ordeal they were trapped in. The Hololive girls seemed done with all, not only did they deal with Class 1A but also B, and the re-stit was long and miserable to say the least, especially Monoma, who most of the blonde girls from Hololive were mocking him and his shitty attitude. In all honesty, after what they heard from Izuku, it was kind of expected for him to be right about how the students acts. Aizawa, so time you show how much you've grown. Koichi, how much do you control now actually? Izuku, 72%, Shinso, DMN each time closer. Izuku, what can I say? Gran Torino really knows how to train someone. Shinso, he flinches hearing that dash, why yeah does, Izuku, notices this and turns to Aizawa dash, what happened? Aizawa, he interned with him a while ago and I also helped Gran Torino train Shinso. Izuku, why oh that is murder. Everyone in Hololive just looks at this scenario and their discussion, but something got their attention. Izuku said he can handle 72%, but of what? This suddenly reminds Mori something Izuku said yesterday while talking, and that was that the more he trains, the more he handles his quirk, and he was far from his true potential. Aki, so what would happen? Aizawa, let's just get you ready to see this, is gonna be a light show. Izuku, question. Aizawa turns to him dash, can I destroy dash? Aizawa, no, you're not destroying any fake cities. Izuku, Koichi, if I don't get the chance, why would you? Izuku, says the man who destroyed a huge part of Naruhata while fighting a villain. Koichi, excuse me. I was not fighting a normal F-er. It was a man made of pure electricity. Izuku, oh look at me, I became as strong as top heroes, even for a moment stronger than All Might, who cares senpai? Aizawa, let's just shut your F-mouths and get onto it, okay? He says, covering his face. Izuku, Koichi, hi, some minutes later. Gura, I know he's strong, but how will this go? I only see this being a blitz or just something a bit more tamed. Mori, I don't think so. For all I know he only holds back in special occasions and we're literally letting him go off rails for our entertainment. He looks at all of the girls dash, is gonna be appealing destruction. A door suddenly opens, revealing some teachers entering with tired faces as behind them enters all of Class 1A. Aizawa just looks at them plainly, Koichi doesn't even have words, Shinso just looks tired with seeing them again, and Hatsum just sighs angrily. Hatsum, what do you all want? Bakugo, why do you care? Weird eyes. Hatsum, what do you mean why? None of you should be here. Ida, and why are you here then? Hatsum, duh, 'cause I'm Midoriya's personal engineer, I need to see in what to upgrade his costume so it doesn't break again. Koichi whistles, knowing Izuku already broke the newest pair of Air Force gloves. Mina, and why aren't you saying anything to Shinso? Aizawa, because I brought him here against his will. Shinso, can a man sleep for once? Aizawa, if I can't sleep, what says you can? Shinso, hate you sensei. Aizawa, and you are my favorite. Izuku, can we start this? He screams as he stretches himself. Aizawa was just about to answer when Bakugo suddenly takes the mic away from him. Bakugo, listen here, you worthless trash, do you really think you are that important? Izuku, aren't I the one with a world-renowned title? Bakugo, who gives a sht about it? Deku. You better shut your trap before I go down there to kill you. Izuku, how could you do that with broken legs? It is suddenly seen that black WHP came out of Izuku's knuckles as they start flying at huge speeds towards the observation room. Aizawa, Midoriya no. He says, stomping the WHP that were already about to grab Bakugo's legs. Izuku, he sighs as he deactivates black WHP dash, well, do I start or what? Aizawa, okay, start. Izuku only keeps looking in front as an army of robots of all sorts start to rush towards him, and in the distance zero-pointers start to come out as Izuku simply looks straight to the hundreds of robots on his way to him. Uraraka, Aizawa-sensei, isn't this a bit too much? Haguricure, yeah, I don't think he could dash. Aizawa, keyword, think, none of you think straight since you entered UA and your egos were buffed to the heavens, hence why none of you know the true power Midoriya packs in every single one of his punches. Plus, if he had wanted, he could have killed all of the robots by now. Izuku only cracks his neck as he starts to do a revving motion on his right arm. He activates OFA as his eyes distort due to the power of 72% as he ups the percentage in his right arm to 76%. He suddenly disappears from the spot he was as he appears in the heart of the army. Land Ripple Winchester smiles. He punches the floor beneath him, everyone watching this, except for those who have seen Izuku's potential, has their eyes widen in disbelief from it, and it didn't seem like shock was stopping anytime soon as Izuku stands up straight and calmly, with enough time and energy to clean. Everyone watching this, except for those who have seen Izuku's potential, has their eyes widen in disbelief from it, and it didn't seem like shock was stopping anytime soon as Izuku stands up straight and calmly, with enough time and energy to clean his knuckles and stare at one of the zero-pointers which fires real tomahawk missiles towards him. Izuku only lets out a chuckle seeing this before wanting to go all in with style. Everyone watching this, except for those who have seen Izuku's potential, has their eyes widen in disbelief from it, and it didn't seem like shock was stopping anytime soon as Izuku stands up straight and calmly, with enough time and energy to clean. Izuku suddenly appears next to the zero-pointer as all missiles that were fired towards him explode without even the need of actual impact, as Izuku had punched them and bounced through them to get to the zero-pointer, but not just any part, as he gets to the head of said robot and kicks it with all his strength, decapitating the robot in one go and slamming its head onto the chest of another zero-pointer. Momo, what? Koichi, God, it looks fun to destroy those things. Next time I'm fighting a robot army and I don't care what you say, Eraser. Izuku quickly skyrockets himself around as danger sense had warned him about more incoming missiles, which he easily dodges. This gives him an opening to use anti-material, the second's quirk, and shoots down one explosion upon the incoming missiles, causing an impact of his explosion and one that equal 1 kiloton. Izuku quickly flies towards the city when he spots a zero-pointers opening fire towards him. He suddenly sees the missiles in front of him as it seems like it's gonna hit him, but Izuku simply PMP slaps it away from him before shooting down more incoming missiles. He ups the OFA power by combining Fajin with his strength enhancement, letting him fly down even faster. Manchester smiles. This kick ends up going throughout the zero-pointer until he impacts with the ground, causing a gust of wind so strong it lifts up all of the other robots nearby, and it gives Izuku a golden chance to strike them down as he strains his hand as much as this kick ends up going throughout the zero-pointer until he impacts with the ground, causing a gust of wind so strong it lifts up all of the other robots nearby, and it gives Izuku a golden chance to strike them down as he strains his hand as much as humanly possible and covers it with black WHP before slashing the last zero-pointer rushing towards him. This kick ends up going throughout the zero-pointer until he impacts with the ground, causing a gust of wind so strong it lifts up all of the other robots nearby, and it gives Izuku a golden chance to strike them down as he strains his hand as much as Bakugo could only look at it terrified due to how much he was doing and how he doesn't even seem to have break a sweat, while the Hololive girls could only look at awe at Izuku's power. Izuku uses some debris nearby as a platform as he lands on it and decides to use it for his swift move, his own sixfold. This sure is fun, but he looks up seeing there were still robots in the air, only making him sigh as he gets ready and charges up Fajin to its fullest and OFA to 76%, his limit via straining his body dash, Suedo 300%. Plus BWOM plus ding plus everyone's eyes only widen in shock and disbelief to what they were witnessing in the fraction of 13 milliseconds as no one could even produce a singular word at the moment. The entirety of Mustafa only looked towards UA in pure awe and shock to the sky. Everyone's eyes only widen in shock and disbelief to what they were witnessing in the fraction of 13 milliseconds as no one could even produce a singular word at the moment. The entirety of Mustafa only looked towards UA in pure awe and shock to TH, World Bender. Ida, what? Koichi, this is the same move he used against the High Gamma Nomu with Overclock. Momo, such power. Bakugo only looked at this in even more horror than before. This was completely unbelievable to him, but there was no way he could be this powerful, but he was witnessing it, he was seeing it firsthand in front of him. Aizawa, seems like none of you could understand it at all. Do you think that title of his is a joke? Then let me remind you one thing: Izuku Midoriya has never been a normal human, he will never be able to be one, it SCKS to be a person like that, but that will never stop him. Why, you may ask? He says as he smirks dash, because that is what makes him he world's strongest human. This was longer than I intended, but Jesus Christ, it was fun. I do want to say that the title of World's Strongest Human isn't just because of his quirk. I wanted to prove that he has that title for more than one reason. Is not just power that always defines the strongest, and this is all because of me thinking about One Piece while reading. I know it has nothing to do, but still, I'ma take my week break, maybe two, as I study for my incoming exams. Now see ya. Now see ya. The detective mind of a hero, the feelings of death. Kind of boring chapter if you don't care of the detective stuff. Izuku found himself swinging throughout the rooftops of the city of Tokyo, slowly investigating whatever he can about his case at stake. He wanted to gather as much information as possible, and for what the police told him some days after the events at UA, his point may have been more than they can imagine. Proof brought them down to a couple places where certain smells were present. Suspicions had fallen on these places, and not much could be done without any other evidence than a smell that could come from anywhere else. They can't go anything else in any legal way, but this is what they have Izuku for. Not as a weapon. If anything, calling him a weapon would most likely make him murder anyone in his vicinity or completely traumatize people by only feeling his presence like he did with Nizu. Izuku finally arrived to the location he was looking for. As he stayed in the rooftop for a bit, looking around, he could see the area was mostly empty and there wasn't much to it, but what can be done of a commercial area at 2 a.m. when most stores here close at 11 p.m. and sadly no one here is paid properly, but welcome to this economy, I guess. A sudden wave is used by Izuku as he activates heat trace to see if there is anyone in the building. The building seemed to be completely cold, with some dregs of hair scattered across the building in a way of showing there was activity inside of this building earlier today. Keeping an eye on this place for a bit, he couldn't see anyone coming as he drops himself down from the rooftop and stops himself with float to then use some new gauntlets Hatsum made for him, gauntlets he talked to her about while going towards the fake city. That day. Hatsum, use it that way Izuku, you think is possible. Izuku, Hatsum, my quirk is a living deus ex machina, officially said by many people in Vigilantes. Even though they don't know OFA, I can manipulate this quirk and the others to my liking, so I don't think having in mind how energy works will stop me. Plus it is still energy I store inside my body and free out. This kinetic energy inside of me manifests as an aura of sorts, meaning it flows throughout me like my normal strength enhancement does. Melissa's full gauntlet told me that redirecting it to stock it inside of a spot made to handle it, I would receive up to no damage. He suddenly sees Hatsum look away from him as she says something under her breath, most likely cursing the blonde for getting Izuku's attention back at Island. Hey, it was just an example. Well, here's the thing, what stops this effect from happening to my kinetic energy? It is more malleable due to it being energy I free out as an aura and not just a burst of power like my stockpile does. Hatsum, due to the aura you say you have a chance of making more, but what exactly do you want me to make those gauntlets do for you? Izuku, let out kinetic vibrations. Back in present time, Izuku's hand nears the window as he enters in contact with it as a kinetic vibration slowly starts to happen onto the screen, slowly bending the window as if it was being heated up and melted, yet it kept being a solid to anyone that was to contact on it. After a bit, an opening makes itself present for Izuku to go through it with ease and then bring the glass back to its original position. But Izuku did realize he messed up a bit, as some deforming was something he was able to see. Izuku, at least it works. He says as the gauntlet compresses back onto his arm. Black Ops gauntlets, connected directly to the Air Force gloves. Izuku continued walking along the building as his eyes looked around. It seemed like a normal bakery for the most part, but there was more to it and he could feel it. Izuku continued walking along the building as his eyes looked around. It seemed like a normal bakery for the most part, but there was more to it and he could feel it. Moving across the place, he could only look at all these things in display right in front of him as he slowly checked them, his each step writing notes about his surroundings. All food on display seemed to have been recently put out of a refrigerator to be freshly displayed. Each one seemed in completely perfect condition and not much of a difference between a normal cake and much more. His eyes were kept on all this in front of him. Something felt off about these cakes. It wasn't their smell or anything, if not their temperature. Focusing a bit of anti-material on his index finger, he neared at the cake as it showed that a cape of sorts was melting, a cape that slowly let out an odor of sorts that at first was the nice smell of vanilla like a candle, but as the smell went off, a cape of wax slowly left it. it was a rotten smell, yet not how yeast usually smells when a piece of bread reaches its worst point. It reminded Izuku of one smell, the one of a Nomu's brain. Out of all parts of a Nomu he could smell, why the brain? Simple, as the only exposed part of their body, this is the only part of them that actually emits an odor of sorts due to all substances found naturally inside of a brain. The rotten smell of a brain is also something he's familiar due to the post-mortem condition that creates a Nomu after he destroys his brain. On the quick attempt of stopping any way of taking over the Nomu or letting evidence of them, their brains quickly go to this state at the moment is destroyed, so by the saying that Izuku has smelled this about 68 different times shall give you an answer. Recognizing this post-mortem smell, Izuku's suspicion started to grow more. It was clear clues were right, there is someone making something with prior or recent bodies that no one realizes thanks to this sort of wax cover they use to hide smell and taste from people. He was not working alone, and this clearly gave it away. One note and many more to go. This quickly makes Izuku to continue looking for the place when he starts to use danger sense on its own. A technique he learned with danger sense is made to enhance his brain and warn him via the usage of the nervous system, but this means something else. As part of the brain stimuli, his 5 senses are heavily enhanced at the same time danger sense goes off due to the constant flow of energy while it goes off, so via forcing it on, his nervous system will be able to power up his 5 senses and use it with his all. That's when his hand quickly goes to contact onto that one cake he melted a bit, via touching it the sense of viscosity mixed with the sponge feeling of bread capable of tricking anyone's taste onto thinking this is just bread when it is composed of mostly flesh, as Izuku only keeps his eyes on it. This is not recent at all, this flesh has about 4 months since it was grinded and messed with, meaning even the mix is old, so I'm guessing they ended up using the freezer to keep them on such condition for the next months after it was made, but that is another thing. If this is actually a normal bakery, the need of a freezer is almost unnecessary, as all materials to make their bread and anything else is always fresh on all places. Tsukachi said last time the back door of this place was ever open was about 3 months ago, so anything they have should be expired. He looks around the place as he notices a near trapdoor in the rooftop that seems to connect to a door nearby. All blueprints of the building do not show anything like this. The door should lead directly outside, but I see that it seems to be a bit too secure for a normal backdoor. This must be where the freezer is, but up here what would it be? He says, looking at the trapdoor. Izuku decides to put his ear onto the door that finds itself below the trapdoor as danger sense is forced activated to listen onto the door. Inside of it, the noise similar to that of an industrial fan, better said a freezer fan, letting out a soft white noise. His thoughts were right, though a normal door, this is actually the entrance to a freezer where he can only think of what could be inside. He first decides to check on the trapdoor on top of him, letting him reach out for it as he quickly opens it, letting an eerie feeling to come out of it, only making his eyes of narrow. This feeling was that of a painful sighting, like that of coming across the body of someone you love dead right in front of you. Izuku quickly leaps up as he enters this completely new room to him, as he quickly uses the same thing he did with danger sense. His touch quickly lands onto the floor below him. He fully gets up as he tries to look around even without no lights on. Izuku slowly starts to investigate the room before he knocks on the floor, letting out sound waves that map the whole place for him, but something interesting happened when it came to the walls. Looking around, Izuku could only stare at his surroundings, letting him see multiple weapons spread across, rusty knives that don't show signs of getting cleaned in the past months, and even more outstanding, the sighting of multiple seats and mirrors. Whoever did all this doesn't have any sort of reasoning when it comes to cleaning and only thinks of killing and not leaving evidence. Having complete trust no one is to discover his doings. As he continued investigating, he found one thing in particular. It was sort of outstanding in the sore eyes as compared to the other knives. This one had been completely cleaned and taken proper care of. He started to look at it as he could see a part of it had minor changes done to it via giving it more and more edge, and Izuku even thought of a terrible joke due to this. Only a chuckle left him as he looked at the knife and was able to see many more details present on it. A bending caused by a human grip, giving him hints that his quirk may enhance his body or he has inhuman strength of sorts. The water that was used to edge this knife seemed recent. Not only that, but to what he can see, this is perfect to pierce throat bones. Before anything could be done, he was looking all over the place as a scenario was slowly being built up, seeing only 2 shadowy figures in his eyes, one red and the other one blue, as it was slowly being witnessed of the scene. The murderer wanted to play a game with his victim, some cat and mouse. He thinks as he sees one chair turn towards him and the open cuffs it has as the blue figure quickly gets up from it with the red figure behind it. Not only that, but to what it seems, it was going against him. The victim quickly acted and used whatever was near him to fight back, but the fear he was feeling was not letting him. The blue figure is shown tumbling across the room as the red figure slowly walks towards him. The blue figure wanted to act, but it couldn't find what to do at the moment before its hand grabs onto the semi-open drawer and quickly pulled it out to hit the figure. After that, the knives flew all over the place but mostly landed in this area near the broken drawer. Seeing it didn't work, the victim continued moving around wondering what exactly to do about this but couldn't find anything to hats when the killer used one of the rusty knives near him to stab his leg. The blue figure goes past the red one, tumbling as the red one found himself sort of stunned by this hit as the blue figure lands on the floor and tries to get up. That's when the red figure reaches out for one of the many rusty knives, picks it up as he walks to the blue figure and puts enough strength onto it to pierce through the leg and impacting onto the floor beneath it as the blue figure contorts in pain. He reaches out to the rusty knife and picking it up before putting it inside of one of his pockets. He let his victim try to crawl away in pain while also scratching onto the wall on desperation, but nothing was going to happen. No one was coming anytime soon. Is such a simple murder in all reality, but this dried blood is more than enough of a key to run an investigation. Not only that, but there's still the freezer for me to check. He quickly gets down from the basement without making much noise and closing it carefully before looking at the freezer silently. His hands slowly reach out for the door as he keeps staring at it silently, slowly opening it as some sort of smell started to come out of it. His mind didn't need to know more. It was the horrific smell of corpses similar to the one the cake had let out not even seconds ago, but it felt stronger than before, worse than before. It was clear this had more than one body onto it. I got you now, bstrd, Izuku says, still feeling the horrible smell on his nose but not caring as a silent anger gets onto him, an anger that he only feels out of pure hatred to this man as a small pride-filled smile comes onto him. And you will not escape from me anytime soon. She found herself laying down in her bed after a long day of streaming. She didn't know what it was or what had happened that caused her to only stay lying down on her bed silently while looking at the rooftop of her apartment. Her questions at the moment were many, but the answers would be none. Mori found herself thinking about Izuku and her little experiences with him in this past times. He was fun to say the least. He would listen to her with no issues and would be fun to listen for many hours as to what he was to do in his life and how he has been looking for a small job or just something to do apart from vigilantism because it doesn't pay the bills. His mind always catched her off guard because of just how much smarter he is. His way of thinking was nothing you see usually. The green emerald eyes of his that easily hypnotized her with their shine, his sort of long greenish hair that goes all over the place yet feels like it should be that way, his smile of a calmed man who knows it all. That arrogant demeanor of his who shows no fear against anyone, that devilish yet SXL smirk of his he rarely shows, and his little mercy when discussing with others such as those he truly despises, it was too attractive to her. Her heart was racing the more she thought of him. The soft grip of his when talking to her and that one moment of both in the sky as they looked at each other with pure passion on their eyes, her breathing intensified, her senses were all over the place as one thought came to her. Mori. Him calling out for her only made her senses not stop going insane. Her feelings were going all over the place and they didn't seem to stop while that smile of his comes as his devilish CC grin comes to her mind. She was lost, one feeling and one she didn't understand at all. Mori. Her mind was getting more and more lost on this echoing voice from Izuku in her head as she feels more and more attracted, the need of actually hearing this voice in her ears as it caresses her and gives her what she needs his heartbeat in her ears, his breathing being all that echoes and his eyes only for her. Her mind continues thinking of him not stopping at all as he is the only thing in her mind, the only thing she truly needs in her life at the moment. That's when her phone vibrates as her eyes simply open up properly in shock while this continues going off. She reaches out for her phone as she turns it on just to see it was nothing but spam annoying her. She makes an anguished look noticing this as she looks around clearly hating this. She found herself dropping to her bed again as she continues looking around not knowing what to do as she is reminded of her prior thoughts of Izuku out of all people. Those thoughts of needing someone with her and that someone had to be her late friend, Izuku Midoriya. Why him? Mori says as she starts to look around, still kind of sad and weirded out for her thought interruption dash, why of all people I know in my life does, her heartbeat slowly increases as she stares at her rooftop thinking of him as she has an uneasy and conflicted look. Her heartbeat slowly increases as she stares at her rooftop thinking of him as she has an uneasy and conflicted look, why does he make me feel this way? Well, this sure took me long, but it's good immo at least. I mean is some detective stuff, which is like the main reason I even started this series. Now if you don't mind me, gotta go back and actually write for my YouTube channel cause the people over there are like fiends for my content, but I prefer to sit my butt down and play Xenoverse 1 cause I prefer Xenoverse 2, but I decided to play the nostalgic one for me. Now see ya. The Pink in Life. Izuku found himself waking up after a long day that was yesterday. He didn't just discover some stuff from the case and called it a day, as he had to make his way back to the police station and get his gatherings to Tsukachi to take down the person behind all of this recent and brutal murders they have seen in recent days. Afterwards, he made his way back to his apartment but had to fight a couple villains on the way back to his complete dislikeness. Exhaustion was real, and this green-haired man was the embodiment of it at the moment. He only found himself in his bed not wanting to move a muscle or even breathe, but his daily routine didn't let him do so. He quickly rolls off his bed as he knows a quick impact will wake his body up as the one for all users stare at whatever he will do next. As soon as his body left the bed, he crashed onto the ground where he lets out a heavy painful grunt from hitting the ground head first, as the users could only look at this with that of a painful sigh or even acting like they felt the pain, which I mean as souls is not possible, but they need their fun when trapped inside a power such as this one, you know. Izuku quickly gets up as he starts to look around, pretty stunned and confused as he looks around and sees he is in his apartment. Thank God. Quickly goes up to his closet and opens it to put on a white shirt that says, "Not even close," with a golden crown, some potatoes, and even a sword. Izuku, I love this shirt, he says as he walks up to his kitchen, not even past his bed, as he opens the fridge and see all he has. Dash, I could make some American breakfast, yeah, I need a lot of calories. Izuku quickly grabs his earbuds and puts them on as he turns on his playlist and grabs all of it as he puts it in his kitchen bar before hearing an annoying as hell ad play, making him stare blankly to his wall as he continues getting the stuff. Once done there, he reaches out for the knife and gets ready to start as the song ramps up and a smile comes to him. Izuku quickly starts to cut some fruit as Black WHP quickly reaches out for the pancake wheat and grabs a bowl to quickly pour on the wheat, reach out for the carton of milk, 1 egg, and cut a small slice of butter as he puts all of it in the bowl, with him taking a quick shot of milk straight from the carton before putting it back on the fridge. He quickly grabs a mixer he had and uses one for all to quickly make the ideal mass for his breakfast as he continues listening to the song. He turns on the stove to start heating up 2 frying pans to make the pancakes with no issues whatsoever. Not only that, but he opens the fridge to see he, for some reason, has 2 potatoes inside of it, which he quickly peels and slices well enough to make hash browns out of them, while also getting some other stuff to cook, such as some pork belly he had from last time he bought. He quickly starts to cook pork belly as he intends to use all the grease from it to cook the hash browns without much need of wasting oil, and uses the second frying pan to start to make pancakes as he reaches out for some of the fruit he cut and takes a bite out of it. Izuku's eyes continue looking around, realizing he may have gone a bit overboard with his cooking. He made too much for one single person, making him look at this silently. Of course he could tell Koichi to come, but taking in mind that is Saturday, he has a lot of work to do from his actual job. Oguro-san is most likely spending time with both daughter and wife, and Kazuho has some other stuff to do with her singing career. This only makes the green-eat sigh as he realizes there really isn't many he can call up to visit him and have breakfast with, except for one he knows she lives nearby. Quickly reaching out for his phone, Izuku grabs it as he turns it on to see it was rather late, as it was around 10 a.m. for him, which makes him call up for certain pink-haired girl he has slowly grown more and more fond of as he goes to his messages, and then to one in particular. Mori. Izuku, hey Mori, what you doing? Mori, nothing much, just bored after waking up. Izuku, lemme guess, woke up just now. Mori, OFCIF did, I have the day free so everything can go to hell. Izuku, DMN it be like that huh? Mori, when is it not? Izuku, facts, anyways I was messaging you to see if you wanted to have breakfast. Mori, yeah. Izuku, you heard me, I just woke up too, so I'm just making breakfast just now and I made too much. Mori, sounds like an excuse. Izuku, maybe, but who gives a SHT, wanna eat or not? Mori, what you making though? Izuku, pancakes degree 3 Mori, see you in like 30 minutes. Izuku, okay, gonna be waiting at my apartment. Mori, oh yeah, that. Where do you live? Izuku, on Elm Street. Mori, Izuku, for reals, I'm hungry. Izuku, see ya in like 15 minutes. Mori, see ya in 15. Then Izuku only smiles as he thinks about it for more than a second. He just invited a girl to his apartment in the morning on a Saturday to have breakfast with him, and he is still not showered. That is what he should do quickly once he's done with all this pancakes and food, which is just what he does. After about 10 minutes, Izuku continues cooking and finishes all pancakes, which are about 15 cm, 9 inches, each, to then go off and takes a shower, which would have lasted longer if it wasn't for the reminder he had visits in about a minute from arriving. He quickly gets on his clothes on as he hears the door be knocked on and quickly goes to open it. He quickly gets on his shirt as he puts on his socks and gets to the door calmly. He was rather worried for his quick rush and condition, which was rather interesting. Not every day does he do this kind of stuff, but still is open to having people join him when eating or anything. Once the door is fully open, Mori could only look at Izuku, as at first she just stares at him before her jaw drops and a blush covers her face while staring at the green eat. Seeing her reaction, Izuku looks down to his chest to notice he indeed put his shirt on. But Izuku, I'm sorry. I was on a rush. He says, laughing a bit nervous as he blushes from both embarrassment and shock. Mori, sad face, you be. This is kind of the last thing I needed after last night. She thinks to herself as she panics harder about it and remembers everything she was thinking about the green eat not even a day ago. Mori, sad face, you be. This is kind of the last thing I needed after last night. She thinks to herself as she panics harder about it and remembers everything she was thinking about the green eat not even a day ago. The hell do I do about this? Do I just cast it aside or remember it for eternity? Both choices sound like a deal, but god damn it, what am I meant to say right now? Her panic rises even more while looking at Izuku. Izuku, Mori. He calls out for her, worried while closing his shirt. Mori, you good? Mori, why yeah. I'm more than fine. I sound like a thirsty beach. The F is with me. Author magic. Go. Anyways, how are you, Izuku? I'm doing pretty good in all honesty. He moves aside. Come in. Sure. She quickly does so, quite calmed now as she looks inside the apartment and sees how normal and simple it is. It was nothing out of this world, but it was still a cozy place nonetheless. You sure have a nice place. Is not much, just simple because of me mainly working. Do you have another job apart from vigilantism? She looks at him. Well, of course I'm not paid. Hey, I'm just asking. Calm down. But what do you work at? Well, I don't really work as such, but the guys pay me for helping them out. Yeah, but what do you work at? Detective with the police. He closes the door and turns to her. Would you believe me if I tell you I expected it? Well, I don't think I would. I did show it off a bit when we met. He says with a small prideful smirk while staring at Mori. Seeing this smirk yet again makes her heartbeat accelerate a bit as compared to last time. This time is real and right in front of her and looking right at her, only making her pass down some saliva out of pure instinct to this. Well, let's eat, I'm getting kind of hungry. Izuku says as he walks past her to serve her and himself some food. Yeah, how long will I last with him being this nice to me? She walks up to a seat. All I was imagining yesterday is getting to my head too easily. I just have to push it aside and enjoy the moment, that's all I have to do. The two started to eat. Both were clearly hungry as they devoured everything Izuku had made, and the two didn't really stop to talk about it or anything, they just ate during the whole time and enjoyed it a lot. Mori, hey Izuku. Izuku turns to her while finishing his glass of juice after eating a lot. What was your life at UA before all that fiasco with your classmates happened? Izuku stops for a second with his empty glass at his mouth before putting it down in the table calmly. Seeing his reaction, Mori panicked that she may have brought up a bad topic, and before she could say anything, Izuku shows to have eyes of nostalgia and sadness to the thought of this past prior to his classmates starting to see him like a monster with no soul. It was fun, possibly my best school experience in life, but of course, is not like I had the best of lives. He says while marking his finger on the top of his glass with a melancholic smile. Could you tell me more about you? Huh. Izuku looks up to Mori just to be met with an unexpected sighting of hers while looking at him with that smile. This smile could only cause Izuku to blush a bit more while looking right at her red eyes, still thinking for an answer he could give her at any moment. It was beyond his knowledge as to how he could properly come out of trance, as he felt like this smile could only cause Izuku to blush a bit more while looking right at her red eyes, still thinking for an answer he could give her at any moment. It was beyond his knowledge as to how he could properly come out of trance, as he felt like the first time he met her and looked at her while flying across the skies of Japan. At the moment he felt different. His heartbeat was increasing while looking right at her eyes as her lips outstand for him, the very soft movement she did while smiling to take a small breath as her hair shined with the sunlight coming from the balcony made its color even more intense and gorgeous. You can tell me if you don't want to, and I won't find issue with it, you know, so as I said, if you want then go ahead. Then sure. I don't really mind telling you about me, in all honesty. Really now? Yeah, I mean, we have talked to one another in this last 2 weeks, but is not really been much apart from small talks, hasn't it? Yeah, you have a point. Then get ready, cuz is gonna be an interesting story. Izuku says, a bit happy. Well, I got a whole free day, so go ahead, I'm all ears for you today. Izuku started to tell her about his life, how it had gone from him from the moment he was diagnosed quirkless and everything to come afterwards, his friendship with Bakugo, and how he slowly became more and more like a nightmare for him than anything, and many much more things. There were moments where Mori laughed, others where she felt bad for him, and even more moments where she could only listen to Izuku's calm and composed voice slowly narrating her the art of being a hero that has been forgotten, his elegancy at facing opponents who dare think of themselves as above him when they are nothing but his true stepping stones by the end, and his grace at becoming a better hero by the time that goes. He even mentioned to her how much All Might's death meant to him apart from the successor stuff that was leaked by Bakugo all those months ago, and he even explained how he wished he didn't need to rebuild Bakugo's body, who found it hilarious to make him suffer for years and then make his name nothing but a worldwide laughing stock that is now one of the most feared and praised, like if he was some sort of god. Their talk then continued beyond Izuku's life, as it also became a bit about Mori's, and then random topics brought up by one another. Time went as quick as their morning started. Both talked and talked as they made food and drank a bit while they looked outside and saw the beginnings of a hurricane which, as much as Izuku wanted to stop, it would most likely cost his arm to punch it off the sky. Well, I really would like to do something about it, but genuinely losing my arm over a strong weather which is not even that close to Japan is not really my thing. How far is it according to the news? Like a solid 500 kilometers, it literally can't hurt anything or anyone, is in the middle of nowhere, and this is just the tail of the hurricane. Well, it sure is strong though. Booty do like this rain, even though is a bit intense, is never bad. Mori says as she takes a swig from her bottle of wine that Izuku had, which was taken from All Might's lounge after he died against All for One. Yeah, you don't mind if I stay, right? Nope. Hold on, what? Don't get it wrong, I would like to get home right now a lot, but I just can't with this weather. Pretty sure is actually 'cause you got drunk. Izuku says, noting her state, which while she is standing just right, the alcohol is clearly affecting her already. I'm not even gonna fight it, you have a point. She takes another swig from it before Izuku uses black WHP and takes it away from her. Let's stop for the time being, okay? He says, worried for his own well-being while having a drunk Mori at home. No ma wine. Hey, is my wine. But I was drinking from it. Izuku quickly takes a swig from it, making him feel refreshed as he smirks deviously while looking at Mori. But now I am. About a couple minutes later, the two found themselves sitting on Izuku's bed while looking outside as the rain continued. The weather was rather intense, but both could only look at this rain silently while enjoying the view of it as the night was finally setting in. One by the side of the other while just keeping their eyes in the city streets. It was a comfortable silence to say the least, it felt like something else to the two of them due to how calming it all was, just the two of them sitting side by side enjoying the feeling of being next to one another. You sometimes think a lot about what the future has for you, don't you? Mori asked Izuku while seeming to be enjoying herself while looking at Izuku as she nears him. I had stopped thinking of it for a long time but after becoming a hero and then a vigilante I continue thinking what I myself want. Izuku says while looking outside feeling Mori's BRST on his arm but not caring due to how zoned out and kind of drunk he is. I kept thinking of it and I just want to be with someone, be happy with them, be a hero that can come back home and be received by a family, have someone to make that family with that I can love but is just a dream. After finishing this sentence, Izuku drops himself back first letting his head land on his pillow. My dreams are always ambitious and usually can't become a reality, by this point I accept anything that is to come my way and I may as well accept it for my own good. He says as he closes his eyes and tries to fall asleep. Mori suddenly drops next to him getting Izuku's attention in a second as he opens his eyes a little and turns to Mori to see her smiling hole staring at him. She suddenly pulls herself towards him leaving him even more confused, her BRST getting on his arm and her face even closer to his as a blush slowly makes its presence on his while looking at her still red shining eyes no matter the lighting of the moment. Izuku sees Mori move her head even closer as she puts her left hand on her face and whispers only one thing to Izuku which makes his eyes widen and his blush intensify. Izuku sees Mori move her head even closer as she puts her left hand on her face and whispers only one thing to Izuku which makes his eyes widen and his blush intensify. Yeah, here comes the serious question of this time, do you guys want next chapter to be a lemon chapter? It would be my first one ever so it would be quite interesting to see how it goes and to be honest, this series is more focused on their relationship and since they are drunk, it will be interesting to make the one after this if you guys want it. I'm having fun writing this in all honesty, no matter what it is, just writing this sort of character moments. Either friendships, brother-ly bond or actual love relationships in every single one of my stories, this is why I always like making stories mostly focused on this in my opinion, stories which like to focus on relationships are my best and while I'm good to make action as I've seen in my past writing. Focusing on characters and forging their bonds is my biggest strength and so is committing mass genocide but let's not worry about it. I now don't really have much to say against this, in all honesty I do hope you guys enjoyed reading this so CYA. He even mentioned to her how much All Might's death meant to him apart from the successor stuff that was leaked by Bakugo all those months ago and he even explained how he wished he didn't need to rebuild Bakugo's body who found it hilarious to make him suffer for years and then make his name nothing but a worldwide laughing stock that is now one of the most feared and praised like if he was some sort of god. Their talk then continued beyond Izuku's life as it also became a bit about Mori's and then random topics brought up by one another. Time went as quick as their morning started, both talked as they made food and drank a bit while they looked outside and saw the beginnings of a hurricane which as much as Izuku wanted to stop, it would most likely cost his arm to punch it off the sky. Well SHT, I really would like to do something about it, but genuinely losing my arm over a strong weather which is not even that close to Japan is not really my thing. How far is it according to the news? Like a solid 500 kilometers, it literally can't hurt anything or anyone, is in the middle of nowhere and this is just the tail of the hurricane. Well it sure is strong though, booty do like this rain even though is a bit intense is never bad. Mori says as she takes a swig from her bottle of wine that Izuku had which was taken from All Might's lounge after he died against All for One. Yeah, you don't mind if I stay right? Nope. Hold on what? Don't get it wrong, I would like to get home right now a lot, but I just can't with this weather. Pretty sure is actually cause you got drunk. Izuku says noting her state which while she is standing just right, the alcohol is clearly affecting her already. I'm not even gonna fight it, you have a point. She takes another swig from it before Izuku uses black WHP and takes it away from her. Let's stop for the time being okay. He says worried for his own well-being while having a drunk Mori at home. No ma wine. Hey is my wine. But I was drinking from it. Izuku quickly takes a swig from it making him feel refreshed as he smirks deviously while looking at Mori. But now I am. About a couple minutes later, the two found themselves sitting on Izuku's bed while looking outside as the rain continued. The weather was rather intense, but both could only look at this rain silently while enjoying the view of it as the night was finally setting in. One by the side of the other while just keeping their eyes in the city streets. It was a comfortable silence to say the least. It felt like something else to the two of them due to how calming it all was, just the two of them sitting side by side enjoying the feeling of being next to one another. You sometimes think a lot about what the future has for you, don't you? Mori asked Izuku while seeming to be enjoying herself while looking at Izuku as she nears him. I had stopped thinking of it for a long time but after becoming a hero and then a vigilante I continue thinking what I myself want. Izuku says while looking outside feeling Mori's BRST on his arm but not caring due to how zoned out and kind of drunk he is. I kept thinking of it and just want to be with someone, be happy with them, be a hero that can come back home and be received by a family, have someone to make that family with that I can love but is just a dream. After finishing this sentence, Izuku drops himself back first letting his head land on his pillow. My dreams are always ambitious and usually can't become a reality. By this point I accept anything that is to come my way and I may as well accept it for my own good. He says as he closes his eyes and tries to fall asleep. Mori suddenly drops next to him getting Izuku's attention in a second as he opens his eyes a little and turns to Mori to see her smiling hole staring at him. She suddenly pulls herself towards him leaving him even more confused, her BRST getting on his arm and her face even closer to his as a blush slowly makes its presence on his while looking at her still red shining eyes no matter the lighting of the moment. Izuku sees Mori move her head even closer as she puts her left hand on her face and whispers only one thing to Izuku which makes his eyes widen and his blush intensify. Izuku sees Mori move her head even closer as she puts her left hand on her face and whispers only one thing to Izuku which makes his eyes widen and his blush intensify. Yeah, here comes the serious question of this time, do you guys want next chapter to be a lemon chapter? It would be my first one ever so it would be quite interesting to see how it goes and to be honest, this series is more focused on their relationship and since they are drunk, it will be interesting to make the one after this if you guys want it. I'm having fun writing this in all honesty, no matter what it is, just writing this sort of character moments. Either friendships, brother-ly bond or actual love relationships in every single one of my stories. This is why I always like making stories mostly focused on this in my opinion. Stories which like to focus on relationships are my best and while I'm good to make action as I've seen in my past writing. Focusing on characters and forging their bonds is my biggest strength and so is committing mass genocide but let's not worry about it. I now don't really have much to say against this, in all honesty I do hope you guys enjoyed reading this so CYA.